So we are reading from Śrī Bhagavat Sandarbha, Anuchhed number 1. This is the second of the 6 Sandarbhas, and we have studied Tattva in the previous session. So as you remember, in Tattva Sandarbha, Śrī Jīva Goswami had explained the famous Vadanti verse. Vadanti tat-tat-vedas tattvam-jñānam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdate. So the truth is known by 3 names: Brahman, Paramātmā and Bhagavān. So he wants to explain why it is known by 3 names, or why it is called by 3 names by the learned people, if it is only one. What is the reason? And if there is any difference between these 3. So this Bhagavat Sandarbha will speak about the Bhagavan aspect of the 3 names, and then there is Paramātmā, and Brahman will also be described here. So in Tattva Sandarbha it was said that the supreme pramana is Bhagavat Purana, and Bhagavat Purana speaks of 3 things: sambandha, videya and prayojana, and that he said is deliberated, described, elaborated in these 5 Sandarbhas beginning from Bhagavat Sandarbha. So to know the relationship, we have to know the relator. If you want to know a relationship of 2 people, you also have to know those 2 people, because relationship is that which links the 2. So if we have to know what is the relationship between Jiva and the reality, then we have to know what is Jiva and what is reality. So that reality is explained here and in the next one, and then the next one. And Jiva will be explained primarily in Paramātmā Sandarbha, in the relationship. And then Abhideya and Prayojana is described in the 5th and 6th Sandarbhas respectively. So it is this scheme that he is following. So absolute reality manifests in 3 different ways. So he starts atha evam advaya jnana lakshanam tat tattvam samanyato lakshayitva punar upasaka yogyata vaishishtyena prakatita nija satta vishesham visheshato nirupayati vadanti asyaiva uttarardhena brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdate. So in the first part of Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 11, this absolute reality is described in general manner, which is called Advaya Jnana. So Advaya means not 2. And Jnana, the word Jnana, although the popular meaning of the word Jnana is knowledge, but it also refers to consciousness, because knowledge is related with consciousness. Knowledge is known by a conscious being. So that which knows, or the awareness, that is called also Jnana. So that non-dual consciousness is the reality. So that means that that which is not non-dual consciousness is not reality, or that which is not consciousness is not reality. Therefore, there is a question which is raised whether this material world is real or not real. So in the material world also there is consciousness everywhere, because it is existing in consciousness only. Because without consciousness nothing can really exist, because existence is the basic characteristic of this Advaya Jnana. So wherever there is existence, there is this non-dual consciousness. And existence is everywhere. Even when you say non-existence, there is existence. Right? Because non-existence also has to exist somewhere. Right? If you say that there is ghata bhav, so question comes, where is ghata bhav? So even abhav needs some existence, some satta. It has to be in some object which has satta. So if you remember in Nyaya, they make a distinction between satta and bhav. So satta is only in dravya, guna and karma, because they are the real things which exist. And these others, jati, the samanya, vishesh, samvaya, they are called bhav padarthas, but they don't have satta in themselves. They exist in things which have satta, because ultimately everything has to exist in something which has satta. So abhav also exists ultimately, although you can say that there is abhav in jati, abhav in samanya, but then jati will have its substratum in something which has satta. So ultimately it is the satta feature of this advaya jnana which exists everywhere, because that is its basic characteristic. And the other one is consciousness. So therefore consciousness is also there everywhere. Although we may not perceive it in everything, because it is so minutely manifest in these inert objects that we think that these objects are inert, but actually there is consciousness there also. That's why you hear the stories that the rivers, mountains, the stones, they also speak, because there is consciousness in the mountains, in the rivers, in the planet. So he says that this absolute reality in general is characterized as non-dual consciousness. So then the second part elaborates that absolute more specifically. So advaya jnana is the general definition of the reality. Means at this level everybody agrees that it is advaya jnana. No matter what school of thought they follow, whether it is advaitavad, dvaitavad, dvaitadvaitavad, vishishtadvaitavad, so swabhavik, dvaitadvait, everyone accepts that the tattva, the reality is advaya jnana. There is no disagreement on that. So that is the most fundamental characteristic of reality is advaya jnana. And then specifically it manifests as Brahman, Paramātmā and Bhagavān. So some realize this advaya jnana as Brahman, and some realize it as Paramātmā, some realize it as Bhagavān. So that depends on the qualification of the person who is realizing. So just as here in the material world, when we see an object, we don't see it completely, because our vision is limited. It cannot have the full view of a three-dimensional object, because the object itself obstructs its view from certain angle, if you see it. So whenever we are seeing, we are only seeing partly. Even these limited material objects, we cannot see them fully. So what to speak of the unlimited object? Nobody can know that fully. So therefore there are different types of upasakas, worshippers or transcendentalists, and they have different levels of vision or understanding. So as in the material world, when you are very close to an object, you see it in one way. When you see it from very far away, then you see it differently. The same object appears different according to our position in relationship to that object. So similarly, here of course we are talking about physical position, but in case of the absolute reality, it is the conceptual position. What is your concept of the reality? Then reality reveals itself to that particular worshipper. That according to that concept. So of course, because a person has a specific concept, then reality appears like that to that person, and that person believes that reality is only this much. So that is the mistake. The mistake is not in the realization. What he is realizing is right, but to take that as the complete whole, that can be a mistake. If it is not the view of the complete whole, then actually no one really has it. So that's why we have to know from Shastra. Because even if we have to see that reality, we may have different concepts. But Shastra, which is revelation by God Himself, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaya Bhayanti Yat Suraya, that He expanded, He revealed this knowledge to Adi Kavi, to Brahma. So whatever He reveals, that much we can know. So He has revealed about Himself, and out of that revelation also then there is further limitations of people, how much they grasp it or how they see it. So that's why there are so many views, so many opinions about reality, especially in India. In Vedic, those dharmas or those schools of thought which have taken birth in India, they have different opinions. Outside India, they basically have one view, that it is formless. They all say like that. So because in India, this inquiry into Tattva was very common subject. It was a topic which was discussed quite widely. So a lot of people, they invested their time, their life into knowing it. You don't see that in the Western culture, that a lot of people are investing their time in knowing what is truth. Okay, there are some messiahs, Christ or Muhammad or whoever, they revealed something, but then you don't see that there are other people doing the same thing. But in India it is not like that. If Patanjali reveals something, then there are thousands of other people who are like Patanjali, following that and getting the same truth. But if Muhammad says something, then no one really, we don't hear of another person who is like Muhammad or Christ. But here the whole process is that it is given so that others can also have the same experience. So they may not become popular like the original founder, but there have been people who have had realization like that. Same with Buddha. So there have been many people who have attained Buddhahood. So because many people devoted their life to investigate, to know, to realize the truth in India. And so there is a lot of variety here. And this whole variety can be grouped in 3 categories. Those who think that reality is Brahman, those who think that it is Paramātmā, and those who think it is Bhagavān. And then there can be further varieties in these groups, because in Brahman also there is variety. There is Shabda-dvaitavad, and there is just Brahma-dvaitavad, and more divisions in that. Same with Paramātmā, yogis, various types of yogis. And then in Bhagavān, we have a lot of variety. So, but ultimately, whoever has any concept, any knowledge, any realization of the absolute reality can be subsumed into these 3 categories. So therefore it is said that the learned people, they call him as Brahman, Paramātmā and Bhagavān. This one non-dual absolute has thus manifest its own existence in one of these 3 aspects in exact accordance with the specific qualification of the worshipper. So according to the qualification of the worshipper, this truth reveals itself. So qualification here is basically the concept with which and the desire with which that particular transcendentalist or practitioner is worshipping. So that's what qualification. So if the person has the concept that absolute reality is impersonal, qualityless, formless, all-pervading truth, then this is what he or she experiences, because the absolute reality reveals itself in that manner. And if the concept is that he is the immanent being, four-handed form, then it is revealed like that to him. And those who think of him that he is a person, has his own abode, then he manifests like that. So this is the greatness of God. So he says, as in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mam vartmad vartante manushya partha sarvashah. So according to the desire, wish, understanding, concept of the practitioner, then Krishna reveals himself. Yadyadhiya te urugaya vibhavayanti tattad vapu pranase sad anugrahaya. So whatever form they assume, this is for the devotees, and they conceptualize, they meditate on a particular form, then God appears to them in that form. And it is the form of Krishna or Rama, Nrsimhadev. So these 3 are the popular ones. And then you don't find much worshipper of Matsya or Kurma or Varaha. So primarily you will find devotees of Krishna, which also means Rama or Vishnu, and Nrsimhadev. So this is what you see the temples, Narayana, Vishnu. So because this is the wish of the devotees, he manifests them. So their parikaras, associates, their in human form, associating with him. So this is what is described in this Anucheda. Okay? Is it clear? Yes.
You were explaining that the reality is manifesting according to the concept that this person has. I would have thought that it manifests according to how it is, and then the person gets the concept of it. So how can it be all the way around?
No, but those who are doing practice, they already have some concept, right? Otherwise, what are they practicing? Suppose you are a devotee, you are worshipping, so you are already worshipping a particular form, right? So that's the concept you have. You think that this is what God is like.
And this my concept is coming from my
Shastra. So, of course, these forms which are described, spoken of, they are described in Shastra. Because you are not born with the concept. You get the concept after you are born, and then you study Shastra or you hear somewhere Sadhu Sangha, and then you take to process. Here, of course, he is specifically talking about practitioners. But this is also true of those people who are not practitioners. Some people think that there is no God, then God also manifests to them that, okay, there is no God. He doesn't manifest to them himself. He manifests to them as atheist. So really speaking, whatever is concept, then he comes. So he also comes in as atheist, as Buddha. And then people follow, there is no God. Or if you have some other concept, then you will see the reality like that.
I do not understand where the concept is coming from. You said from Shastra, but if everyone's concept is coming from Shastra, they interpret it differently, right?
Yeah, they interpret it differently, or Shastra also has different concepts of God in it. That's what I said, that in India there have been many different types of practitioners, worshippers, and they have different realizations, and those are spoken here. Because God has got many aspects, and different people have realized different aspects of Him. So then you can come in contact with these people who have realized one particular aspect. You associate with them, you get the concept from them, and you think this is the reality, this is how it is. You remain unaware of the other, or if you hear of the other, you will think, well, this is just part of the one I am following. So concept comes from Shastra, which means through Sadhu Sangha. So you associate with a particular group or with a particular person who is following or have realization of one particular concept. So then you follow that, you start. That's how your Shraddha comes, right? We studied in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Shraddha comes by Sadhu Sangha. And then when you have that kind of Shraddha, then you study that kind of literature, you associate with those type of people, then you do bhajan kriya, practice. But I'm saying that besides that, even if a person is not studying Shastra, he may have some concept of God by hearing from somewhere, or he doesn't believe in God. So then God also behaves with them in the same manner. And he doesn't impose himself on an atheist. Then atheist also sees the proof that there is no God. Then he will find bones, right? And he will see things, how they are growing from one to another. And they will make up their theory very cogently. And they believe in it, and they will believe other million people. They will make them believe that this is how it is. But it is not necessary that it is like that only. It is not necessary that this one bone has developed from the other one. There may be other bones which are older than this bone and which have a higher degree of evolution in it. They have actually found like this, but you read, they don't talk about these things. They found footprints of human beings with, I think, dinosaurs and things like that. But then these types of anomalies they cannot accommodate, then they don't talk about it in the mainstream. So then their belief continues. And they can argue and counter-argue about their understanding. So God also keeps their faith in atheism or in evolution. So this is the greatness of God, that everybody remains satisfied under His creation. Like people ask that when you go to, very often this question is asked, that once you are in the spiritual world, then do you move from Dasya to Madhurya or something like that? No, there is no need. If you are in Dasya, you are satisfied with that, and that looks great to you. And even if you know that Madhurya is wonderful, you think for you Dasya is the best. So you remain satisfied. So similarly, atheist may see millions of people worshipping, and he remains satisfied with his atheism. He doesn't think that let me also change. Or he thinks, well, this is okay what they are doing, but they are little confused people.
In the beginning, I understood that consciousness is present everywhere, also in inert objects,
Yes.
because everything exists in consciousness.
Yes.
Could you explain this maybe in a little different?
Because God is the support of everything, right? There is nothing which exists outside God. He is all pervading. What does it mean that He is all pervading?
Means that it's present everywhere.
And He is conscious. So then consciousness is everywhere or not?
Yes.
So what is there to understand in it?
So now I understand.
If He is all pervading, right? He is sarva vyapakaha. He is everywhere. Because you have to understand that He is the only reality. What is the meaning of non-dual? Non-dual means that He is the one without a second, which means that there is no independent reality besides Him. Right? So if there is no independent reality besides Him, then there cannot be anything which is without consciousness, because He is consciousness. He is non-dual consciousness, right? So two things. Number one, it is consciousness. Number two, it is non-dual. And non-dual means that there is nothing which can exist without it. So then wherever anything which has existence, whether it is table or chair or anything, like you said, there is a table, means table has an existence. So when you say this is a table, means you are saying that table exists here. So it has existence. So it cannot exist independent of that reality. Right? Because there is no reality independent of that. So that is the only Advaya Gyan, that is the only non-dual consciousness. So that means that is also here in this table. This table is also part of that. And that reality is conscious. So it has to be here also. Right? This is quite bewildering. But ultimately, therefore it is said, Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlava. That all this, sarvam means all. Whatever you are seeing all around you, it is all Vasudeva. Or in the Upanishads, sarvam khalu idam Brahma. That indeed all this is Brahman. Because what can be without Brahman or without Vasudeva? If it can be, then it is not non-dual reality, then there are two realities. So that is the opinion of classical Sankhya, that there is Prakriti and there is a Purusha. So Bhagavat Sankhya says that no, Prakriti and Purusha, they both belong to one only. They are not two independent tattvas. Classical Sankhya speaks of these two independent things. That's why Vedanta Sutra refutes Sankhya. There is nothing wrong with Sankhya other than this, because Sankhya accepts that Prakriti and Purusha are two different tattvas. Different means that they are independent of each other. Prakriti can exist independent of Purusha, and Purusha independent of Prakriti. But what Bhagavat Sankhya says that Prakriti cannot exist independent of Purusha. So it is not an independent Tattva. It is a Tattva, it is one reality, one existence, but it is not independent. So therefore, yamam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyami. One who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. So that's what is showed, that everything is inside him, the Virat Swarupa. So everything is in consciousness. So matter cannot exist without consciousness. Bahiranga Shakti also cannot exist. And then within Bahiranga also there is Antaranga. Because he is all pervading. So then when we say the Antaranga or internal is there, but it means that he is manifesting his existential potency into it. Because the power of Krishna has three divisions: Sandhani, Samvit and Hladani. So in the inert matter, only the Sandhani aspect is manifest. Samvit and Hladani is not manifest in it. So then it appears inert.
But just now you said something, just now you said Antaranga is in Bahiranga.
Yeah, that Sandhani part is there or not?
Only the Sandhani.
So Sandhani is not Antaranga. No?
Is that Chit Shakti, Sandhani?
Chit Shakti is used for the whole internal potency also. And then Chit is also means consciousness. So depend how you are using the word. You can give the back.
Give a question. It's about nondual.
Okay.
Yes.
Babaji, can you explain the difference between Hladini and Antaranga Shakti?
Antaranga is just another word. Hladani is... Antaranga Shakti has three divisions in it. One of them is Hladani. It's like matter has Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So what is the difference between Prakriti and Sattva, or Prakriti or Rajas? Just one part of it. It's also Prakriti, but one part.
The intelligence, or the consciousness that exists in inert objects, is it the same that is sometimes referred to as cosmic intelligence or the Mahat of Prakriti, or is it a different concept?
No, that intelligence of Mahat is there in Prakriti, but it is not going to function without consciousness. So if you suppose you have a plant, so plant also has intelligence in it, but right? Because it knows how to draw its nourishment, or if there is an obstacle to its growth, it can also move to the side. It can also look for water. Sometimes the root of a tree can travel for 1 kilometer to look for water. So why is it traveling if it does not have intelligence? But that intelligence works because there is consciousness. That math part will not work without consciousness.
But that is a living entity, the plant, just like the Jiva.
Yeah, but living entity, whose energy is living entity? Can living entity be without of Advaya Gyan?
No. But
Then, and wherever living entity is there, there is Paramātmā.
So do you refer to the, like in an object like a chair, there are so many atoms, and in each atom there are jivas. So do you mean in that sense it's full of consciousness because of all the jivas which are in there?
Yeah, and the Brahman is also there. That's what I'm saying. Wherever there is Jiva, there is Paramātmā. Right?
Yeah.
Those Apurno Sayuja Sakhaya. right? Two birds sitting on a tree. So that's not only just human body. Wherever the Jiva is there, he goes there. It's companion.
So that is, Mahat is different. That doesn't work without.
No, matter cannot work without consciousness. It's very simple. If it is doing anything, it will do only. It's like when Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasya ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti mannati. So that gunas, they are working, but they are working because the Jiva is there, who thinks he is the doer. So he has to be there. Okay. So non-dual consciousness everywhere. So this is the thing that again, now we don't see this non-dual consciousness because this is our concept. Our concept is that this is matter, I am this body, and this matter is meant for my enjoyment. Right? This is our concept. So because of this concept, we don't see that non-dual consciousness existing here. Because God does not reveal himself. Why should he reveal when our concept is that this is matter and it has no life in it and it is meant for me to enjoy it? Right? So you know that, just to give you a more practical example, you are doing puja, you are doing worship. So you have a bell. And you are ringing bell. So you are ringing bell, you also respect the bell, right? Will you touch the bell with your foot? Why? It is just inert matter. You may have actually below your seat, which is made from the same metal, which the bell is made. But you are not respecting that like this. Why are you doing? Because you are actually treating this bell if the bell has a life. And in fact, it is an offense to move the asana, the seat on which you sit or stand, to move it with your foot. It is an offense. So if you have to move it, you use your hand. So why is that? You are actually standing on it all the time. You're sitting on it, but when it comes to moving, you don't use your foot to do that. Like you see now modern people, they have their cloth, they push it away, they have a bag, they use their feet for that. But here it is considered as an offense. Why? What is there? Or sometimes when you are angry, you kick the door with your foot. So why are you kicking the door with your foot? If the door has no life, what is the point in kicking it? So those who are worshipping, they are treating things as if they have life. Once one person came to see a sadhu is sitting, when he came, he removed his shoes and then he just threw the shoes in a disordered manner. He came to the sadhu. So he said, you go back and put those shoes properly and then come and see me. So he says, why I have to do this shoes? He says, no, you go and do it. First learn how to respect the shoes. Then you can listen to me. So therefore in Vedic culture you are actually told how to respect even shoes. When now these things are getting lost with modern times, but in Indian marriages, when the marriage happens and the girl and boy, you know this? They worship the shoes. They do in Gujarat. So after the girl and boy, they have had the 7 steps around the fire. Then the boy and the girl, they are taken inside by the friends of the girl, usually the sisters. They have a joking relationship with the boy, which is called Sali. I don't know right? In Krishna is calling Syala sambandhinas tatha. Syala, this word comes in Bhagavad Gita also. So Syala is now in Hindi is called Sala and Syali is the wife. So we call it as Sali. And Sala and Sali are both used. It is a very sweet relationship, like an amorous type of relationship. So like the husband of the girl will have this kind of relationship with the sisters. They may be real sisters or the cousins. So they have very joking relationship, an amorous type of joking. So that is called Sali and Jija relationship. So they take the bridegroom in the room and then they make him worship the shoes of the bride. That is the first thing. And it's quite a funny thing when they make him do this, because they just make joke of him, and without that they don't leave him. They will, when he's doing all this thing and then when he comes out, his shoes are gone. His shoes are stolen. This is very common. And then they'll say, give me some money, I gave you your shoes. So he has to pay for it. And then he's taken inside the room and he has to worship the shoes. So these are some details of Indian marriage. Because this Indian marriage was big, as I said, it will last for many days. Now everything is done in few hours. But previously it went on. So the idea is that everything, they will go, there is a worship of the well. It's a very famous ceremony, Kuwa Puja. And then Chak Puja, worship of the wheel of the potter. And all types of things are worshipped during this marriage festival. Bridegroom and bride, they will be going around worshipping all these things. So what is the point in worshipping the potter's wheel and worshipping the well and worshipping the shoes and worshipping this and worshipping? They don't have life. So it is to instill in you that everything actually has life, everything is manifestation of God, and everything is ultimate reality. But anyway, when someone is angry, at least at that time, he also thinks like this, and then he's kicking. Right? You're breaking things. Why do you break things when you are angry if it has no life? What is the point in breaking? When some guy came, his scooter was not working and he got so angry, he started banging the scooter. Why are you banging the scooter? Does he have a life? So at least at that time he's thinking. Unconsciously. Otherwise, what is the point in beating it? It's already a dead matter. So there is life everywhere, and therefore learn to respect it. And so therefore Bhagavatam, if you read, it actually starts like that movable are better than immovable, and then immovable, those who have legs, they're better, and those who means they're better than the trees, and those who have this eye is better, and who have this sense is better. And then it comes to human beings, and those who know the Vedas, and those who understand the meaning, and then Vaishnavas, and ultimately God. So whole gradation is given. So that means there is consciousness manifest everywhere, but at different levels. So this is the Vedic culture, to make you realize that there is God everywhere, there is consciousness everywhere, there is Advaita Jnana in everything. This is such a deep principle, and actually this is the core principle of Vedic literature. If you see Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also repeating this again and again, that I am this, I am that, I am the light, and I am the strength of the man, I am the buddhi of the intelligent, and all these things. So why he is speaking this? So that you can become aware of his presence everywhere. So our situation at present is that our consciousness is on matter only. We are material consciousness. We have material consciousness. We are focused on matter as an object of enjoyment. Even those who are living beings, who are our friends and relatives, even them we treat as objects we objectify even whom we consider as living beings actually. So husband is treating wife as an object, wife is treating husband as an object. So this is the limit of materialism. A materialist sees everything as an object of enjoyment, even those who are breathing life, who are living. He treats them also like object. And the other extreme is that you treat even matter as having life in it. You see that there is life in it. So which one is better, you can decide. So why people are not happy in the material world? Because they don't treat each other as living being. One person is actually trying to use the other person for his or her benefit. So then that does not work. So you feel unhappy, then both feel unhappy. So if you know that just as you have desire, you have liking and disliking, the other person also has, so you have to respect that. But if you want that other person follows your likes and your desires only and forget about his or her own, then you are treating that person like an object. Because objects don't have desires, inert objects. At least expressly we don't see it. That's the difference. So we want that these human beings also become like an object. So that is objectification. So we want to turn the subject into an object. So that is materialism. And spirituality is treating everything as spirit. That's why it is called materialism and spirituality. Materialism means treat everything as matter. Spirituality means treat everything as spirit.
That's why there's no pollution in Vedic culture, because all this pollution means not being aware.
Yes. So that is the biggest pollution, when you treat living being as dead matter. And that's the pollution.
But it seems that no matter if people are following a spiritual process or they are totally have a completely material mindset, let's say like this, it seems that the nature of the mind is still such that the mind always tries to arrange everything for its own benefit. Like what you spoke about this, that we actually see even other human beings. I mean, we don't see them as objects, but we treat them as objects, right? It seems so. My question is it the nature of the mind that the mind identifies as himself or herself as a subject, but everything around, even the people,
are object.
As objects, just to verify itself? Like,
right.
Is it like this?
So that is the material mind. And then the spiritual mind is that you see everything as object to serve Krishna, including yourself. So that is the spiritual mind. So material mind is what we are to begin with. And this process is to change that and make it spiritualized. So that is the process of bhakti. That is the process of devotion or love. So because once you understand that there is only one reality, Tattva, then naturally you have to understand, or you make an effort to know what is that Tattva and what purpose it has, and why does this creation exist. So then question comes that did he create it for me or for himself? It's like you make a house, your own house, so you can also make house for others, right? Some people do that. So then we have to see that, and even if you make house for others, you expect the others to behave in a particular way. That's why you are making the house for them. If they behave contrary to your desire, then you don't want to give them a house. So that's what is to be studied, that God has created it. That's why theory of evolution is dangerous for bhakti. Because then why bhakti has no role to play in it. It has no purpose. It's prayojanless, purposeless. Because anyway everything is just evolving. Nature doesn't really have any purpose. It just evolves naturally. There's nothing to achieve. It's not that you are born with a purpose. It just happened because of the climate change or whatever. So when you accept that there is Advaita, there is a reality, then naturally question comes that why does He create this, and what is our purpose, and what does He want from us? This question comes. So this question does not arise if you don't believe in this concept of Advaita. So that's why it says, Vadanti tattva, that the knower of tattva speak like this, not others. Others don't speak like this. Others will say, well, it was just an amoeba to begin with, or Big Bang, and then it happened. There was a Big Bang, then amoeba came in water, and life began. So if it had not begun, that would have been fine too. But somehow it began. I don't know whether it was good or bad that this amoeba came in water. Okay. Any other question? So now you understand that there is only one Advaita. You see how important is this verse of Bhagavatam in the very beginning? And this is what Bhagavatam is talking about this Advaita. So Vadanti tat tattvidas tattvam is jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavāniti shabdate. And the purpose of life is said just before this, in the previous verse. Jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yasceha karma. So Jivasya tattva jigyasa. The purpose of life is tattva jigyasa, to know this tattva. That is the purpose of life. Otherwise you are not going anywhere, you are not achieving anything. You can know anything else. If you don't know this tattva, it is useless, it is a waste. So that is the purpose of life, to know the tattva. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. So that's why Jiva Goswami wrote Tattva Sandarbha. Nartho yasceha karmi says the purpose of life is not to make money. Which people think? So there are two types of people. There are people who think that purpose of life is to know tattva, and there are people who think purpose of life is to make money. So at present, the second category is prevalent. The first one is non-existent. Those who come to this field of spirituality, they are also trying to make money in the name of Tattva Jigyasa. Making money has become prominent. But that is not what Bhagavatam is saying. Yes.
Short clarification on this. When someone kicks against the wall, then the person must think that the wall is conscious, otherwise what's the point in kicking it?
Yes.
I thought, well, maybe that's precisely the point. Because it's non-conscious, then I don't harm it when I
Then
kick
why are you kicking? If you kick because you want to harm.
Maybe the person kicks because he does not want to harm. So you kick something that does not feel pain.
Why are you kicking them? What is the purpose?
To get the steam out.
Well, that's not the purpose.
Okay.
You can go out jogging and get your steam out. Why kick the poor wall? I mean, it is not a planned thing that this has life and I'm going to kick. But this is coming from some deep unconscious. It must have life, and then it's a reflex. Because reality, you cannot avoid it. Somehow or other it comes out. So even those people who don't believe in God, they may also talk about purpose of life, which actually they don't have a right to speak about it. Order, there should be order. Why should there be order if there is nothing, no purpose? They actually don't have the right to speak in imperative case, that you should do this, you should not do that. They don't have a right to say it. Why? Why should there be any should?